What's up guys and welcome. You're watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the 2 weeks out physique update of Quinton Beastwood, who is one of the hottest topics in the open bodybuilding right now. So all this hype is really good, but it does come with a lot of pressure as well, because the expectations are high and it can really backfire as well, because if you fail to deliver, the same people who are hyping you up, they are gonna call you out as well. So we are expecting Quinton to show up much better, much bigger, much denser, and much more aesthetic this time, especially in comparison to what we saw in 2022, because he is coming back roughly after 2 years. And so far, based on all the pictures that we have seen from him, he is right on track to show up at his all-time best in 2 weeks' time. So who really is more aesthetic than Quinton? The only name that comes to mind is Andrew Jacked, but we have to keep in mind, Andrew still has way more size than Quinton, at least at this point. So the question right now is, can Quinton beat Nick Walker? I have to say not very likely. Nick Walker is just way too big, he's way too dense, and he is way too complete not just for Quinton, for everyone else in that lineup as well. And let's not forget, the last time Nick was on the Olympia stage, he placed top 3 in the world, beating 2 former Olympians, Big Ramy and Brandon Kelly. So the show after that, the Arnold 2023, that was certainly not the best of Nick. And they will certainly take account of the feedback given to them post-Arnold that year. Because one thing where Nick Walker has zero margin of error, that is digging down up to a point where his core sweep gets hurt the most. Because he cannot chase conditioning up to a point where he loses the volume on his legs. Because that is exactly what happened at the Arnold 2023. So no matter what Nick Walker does at this point, he isn't gonna match either Quinton Beastwood or Tonio in terms of shape and aesthetics. So he would probably stick to his strengths, his insane freak factor, the size that he has, and on top of all that, his amazing conditioning. This is gonna be Nick Walker's first show after 14 months, so he is fired up to make a statement here. And I guess he's gonna make a statement at Pittsburgh Pro guest posing as well. Now in regards to the New York Pro, I think the battle is going to be more between Quinton, Tonio and Martin Fitzwater for the second spot. And in regards to Tonio and Quinton, I have to say Tonio has a lot to lose here. Because if Quinton is able to beat Tonio here, he is going to set himself in a very good position to win California Pro the very next weekend. And that will also mean that Quinton will beat a top 8 Olympian. And that will effectively make him a contender for the top 10 spots. And that will also mean that Tonio won't be able to make top 10. And we have to keep in mind, this year the top 10 at the Olympia is going to be far more competitive, especially in comparison to 2023. Because 2023 won't be remembered as the most competitive year, especially in terms of the top 10 spots. Because so many guys were missing, like Big Ramy, Nick Walker, Brandao, William Bonac, Ian Valier, and so many others who dropped out. So talking about the New York Pro, I really want to see how Stuart Sutherland, aka Beastwood, does here at the New York Pro in this lineup. He was one of the first guys who officially committed to this show, and he looks really dialed in right now. The death face is already in, and it seems like he has put on a lot more size in comparison to 2023. So Stuart matched up really well against Tonio here at the New York Pro last year. Now Tonio was definitely more aesthetic. He had a much more prettier physique, but Stu was a bigger, more wider guy on the stage. And this time with more size, I believe he is gonna be even more bigger. Now Stu isn't the most gifted guy in the men's open division, but the transformation that he has been able to make over the years, that is truly inspirational. He was such a blocky guy if you look back at his pictures from just 2 years ago, and he is a totally different athlete going into this year's New York Pro. So since we are talking about the New York Pro, do not forget Tim Bodybuilding, another great athlete going for this show. And he looks totally dug out 2 weeks out of the show. So Tim Bodybuilding did the European tour in 2023, but Nathan Diesha dominated that tour. And Tim or any of the guys were not at that level, that they could actually beat Nathan Diesha or Regan Grimes. Now, in terms of the top 3 here at the New York Pro, absolutely no disrespect towards Tim Bodybuilding, but he isn't gonna be a factor in there. We do however want to see him bring more depth, more density in the back shorts. And let's just hope that he signs up for Korea Pro instead of Cali Pro. Because that is gonna be his greatest chance to win his first pro show, as well as the Olympia qualification for 2024. Overall, I believe this is probably gonna be one of the best shows of the year, because we have at least 6 very big names going for this show. Brandau's off-season physique update is next. So is Rafael gonna be a factor in the top 6 this year? I highly doubt that. Yes, he has put on an impressive amount of size in the year that he took off, and that is why he got a chance to stand next to Samson Dauda at the Arnold, Ohio. But we saw that the size on Samson is on a whole different level, and I really don't know why a few people thought that it was actually close between him and Samson in Ohio, but in fact it wasn't. Yes, Brandao was in a bad condition, but Samson was still ahead in both the prejudging as well as the finals. So all that appreciation that Brandao received in Ohio, that was lost at the Arnold, Brazil, because he barely beat Tonio Burton in that show. And it was a very controversial decision. So many people had Tonio Burton beating him. But in the end, Rafael did come out on top. And now he is prepping for the second Olympia of his career. So Brandao is a top 10 guy, there is no doubt about that. I mean, he was top 10 in 2022 as well, when he was a smaller version of himself. And he was able to beat a guy like Michael Crizo as well as Ian Valier at that show. So he's certainly gonna be in the top 10. But top 6, that seems very doubtful. And the disparity that we saw in his look from Ohio to Brazil, that must be kind of worrying. And I'm sure both him and his coach Neil Hill, they are working on that. So Brandao has one of the best bodies in the men's open right now. And that is what Tyler Marion specifically mentioned, that it really happens when an athlete has no weak poses whatsoever. And Rafael has that quality. So Brandao has some off-season work to do in these upcoming months. And his coach Neil Hill said that they probably need 1 or 2 more years to add more size. They obviously don't want to rush the process, which is a good thing. So if you guys ask me, he is probably gonna be somewhere between 8th and 10th. But do let me know what you guys think. How high can Brandao place at this year's Mr. Olympia? Another physique update from the prophecy Nathan D'Isha. Now, we do not exactly know what show he's gonna be doing this year. He only hinted about doing Dubai Pro, which is like 10 weeks from now. But at this rate, Nathan is gonna be ready very soon, and he can probably do more shows before Dubai Pro. And just because Nathan is gonna have difficulty entering the US, and the shows that are lined up after Dubai, they are Chicago Pro, Tampa Pro, and Texas Pro. So all 3 of these shows are out of question. So Nathan might do Italy or Portugal, or some other shows after Dubai. So, for the people who do not know, 6 to 8 weeks is plenty of time for Nathan D'Isha to get into that show-ready conditioning. And on top of all that, he was so lean even at the peak point of his off-season this time. This is gonna be an easier than usual prep for him. And Nathan has got a chip on his shoulder. His 2023 season did not end the way he expected. Actually, none of us expected that. We thought him and Samson Dauda are gonna be fighting for the top spots in both Romania and Prague. But that was a very disappointing finish of the season for Nathan. Not only he got beat by Samson and Behrouz, he also got beat by Muhammad Fada, Horsemdi, and Rupil Mosquera. So this is gonna be probably a much better version, because the plan was laid out for the off-season, unlike last year when he was coming off of an injury. And Nathan executed this plan in the off-season extremely well. I think Nathan is one amazing athlete, especially when he is on. His chest, his delts, his arms, they have immense density. The separation in his quads when he's on, that is excellent. The hammies are lagging, and that is always gonna be the case with him, because that is how his genetics are. So I cannot wait to see this new and improved version of Nathan D'Isha whenever he steps on stage this time. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.